Hello everyone. My name is Elise. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing so good today. We are here to do another round of my goals check-in, and there will be some stats as well. I'm going to start with my goals check-in, then move to the stats. So if you're interested in one or the other, now you know generally where they will be. And the stats portion isn't going to be very long, just some major highlights in terms of the stats that I either think are interesting or that you might want to know. And then the goals, if you have been following along this year or not, are relatively short compared to previous years. So if you have not watched my 2024 reading goals video, I will link it down below if you're interested in seeing the initial setup of those and a little bit more on why I picked the ones that I did. Just know that there are less than usual. And that is generally because the previous years I had really wanted to stretch my reading in a number of areas, but I think I've gotten to a good place in terms of like generally where I want my reading to be. But there are a few very specific things that I wanted to really pinpoint and target hard this year, and I'm meeting mixed success maybe. So we'll get into the goals. I only have 4 reading goals for this year, which is I feel like very low. I don't know how others feel, like how many goals you typically set for yourself. You let me know what you typically end up doing so I can see if 4 is reasonable or not. Of the 4 goals, this check-in is going to be as of the end of September. So as of the end of the 3rd quarter of the year. The first goal that we have is reading 3 books that are over 500 pages. I call them Picante Beef Babies. So reading 3 Picante Beef Babies, and going into the 3rd quarter, I had read 0. So it was not looking good for this goal. And I am happy to announce that I have now read 2. So really picked up the pace, and I'm halfway through the 3rd. So I'm very close to finishing this goal when I was like lost in the beginning of the year. So I'm very happy to know that I think I'm actually going to manage this, because I was definitely worried. If you have been watching along, then you know in September, I read both Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Both of those books are over 500 pages, and that helped me with this goal significantly. And they read so quickly. They were such good books to help me achieve this goal. So very happy that those 2 books are down. And I am still reading Wellness by Nathan Hill. I have been reading this book. We are now going on 6 months. I think I started this book in May. So yeah, we're just about at the 6-month mark. And it's so confusing that I've taken this long to read this book, because I am loving this book. And at this point, I now think I'm doing a disservice by stretching it out this long. So I really do want to focus on it, but I keep having other things come up, and it keeps being the book that I choose to put down because it is so long. And I know that not putting it down will come at the cost of accomplishing something else that I want to do. But I am committed to, in November, reading the second half. And I'm over halfway through. I have about like 250 pages left of it. So I just want to read that chunk all in one go in November, and that's the plan for it. And then this goal will be accomplished. So we'll see if I actually do that. But that is the plan that I have in my head now. So assuming that I can just get through those last 250 pages, which shouldn't be an issue, this goal will be completed by the end of the year. So we're on track for the reading 3 Picante Beef Baby books. Goal number 2 is to finish 3 series, as in complete 3 series. And I always explain the caveat is like it has to be completed series that I am finishing the last book and there will be no more books. It can't just be getting caught up to a series. If it was just that, I would have done that, but it has to be finishing 3 series that are totally published in their entirety. This goal also not doing great on, and have not historically been doing great on the entire year. I finished the Tea Dragon Society series early in the year, and that's been the only one that I've read. Since then, I have read 2 books in the Wayfarers Quartet which I thought it was a trilogy when I started it. It's a quartet, which, yeah, I didn't need an extra book, but I have an extra book. So I've read the first 2 books in that, and then I plan on reading the second 2 in both, one in November, one in December. I keep skipping October because October is the only month of the year where I have a singular focus of reading spooky or spooky adjacent books that are like seasonally appropriate. It's the only month that my entire TBR is those books. So a lot of the series books aren't gonna fit into my October TBR, but I'm planning to read 1 in November, 1 in December. I think that should be fine. So that should finish off another series. The third one is where I come into a dilemma because I originally wanted this to be the Wolf Den trilogy. And I mean, heck, who am I kidding? I originally wanted this to be finishing my Sherlock Holmes series, but I have read not to one of those books to finish off my reading project of those, but we're gonna let that fall by the wayside for this year. So I wanted it to be the Wolf Den trilogy because I really loved the first book and I wanted this to be the kick in the pants that I needed in order to finish the series as a whole. I have not done that. I keep putting it off and I don't know why, but I keep putting it off. Well, that's not true. I do know why. The reason I keep putting it off is because it has now been a couple of years since I read The Wolf Den, the original book, the start of the series. And I don't feel like I remember enough of it in order to continue on, but I also don't want to reread that book because it's over 400 pages and it would definitely take me a significant amount of time I feel like I just don't have. So I need to just look up a recap online, but that has been the barrier to me doing it. So I need to just do that. But in my back pocket, the ace in the hole that I've been carrying around this year is there is a middle grade series that I have been reading the past several years, and I only have the last book left in the series. It's the, I don't remember what the actual series itself is called. It's like the Patterson Kids series, Paxton Children series, something like that. But the first book is The Strangers, and the second book is The Deceivers, and then the third book, which is the only one I have left, is The Messengers. And that one I know I could read quickly because it's middle grade. So I think I'm going to pivot just to make sure I can complete this goal. I'm going to read the third in that middle grade series and take some of the pressure off to finish the last 2 in the Wolf Den trilogy. So that's the plan. I'm sticking to it. I've read 3 books this year so far in trying to complete this challenge, and I have 3 more to go. So I've done half, which at this point in the year, I should have done more than that. So I am a little bit behind, but I do still think it's realistic. But the last 2 months of the year are gonna be crunchy, that's for sure. So that's that goal. Next goal is reading 1 translated book a month. I always have this goal, I always will have this goal, and I always say that when I bring this goal up. And this one definitely tends to be an easier goal for me to complete, and I have been doing it so far, but there have been a couple months where I've only read 1, and that's very unique for me. I knew that going into this year because I'm trying to read through a ton of my backlist books, and I was less focused on reading translated books 3+ years ago. We've done this, yay, a goal that's already complete, and I don't need to worry about it other than making sure I get 1 in all the subsequent months, which I think I should be able to do fine. So that leaves our 4th goal. And this is the goal, the mountain that I've been climbing for the past 3 years and have not been able to achieve. That is tracking my TBR books coming in and off of my TBR and making sure that they are equal. That's the goal, that they're at least equal. And as of my last check-in, I had finally gotten to a place where I had not just made them equal, but I was like -3 books, which was a miracle of miracles. And I am extremely pleased to say that that trend has continued on in this 3rd quarter. And I am now -17 books in terms of my in and out on my TBR. That is crazy. So my physical books in for the year up until September, the end of September, was 36, which is so low for me. Like truly, you cannot even believe that's so low for me. And then my physical books read off of my TBR, which is what I track as my books out from my TBR, is 53. Like, what? Oh my God. So I feel like even if I go on my normal December shopping spree in terms of books, I'm going to be fine. I truly think I'm going to be fine. Maybe that's going to come to bite me in the ass. I do not know, but I'm feeling very, very good about where I'm at with this goal so far. So yeah, just celebrate with me, bask in the glory of achieving this well so far. We love to see it. So those are the 4 goals. Let me know how you're doing on your book related goals, and we can celebrate together if you are achieving them, or we can commiserate together if you're not achieving them, because I'm doing a little bit of both right now. So we're still going to try and meet all of them by the end of the year, and I feel motivated to do it. So we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Now let's get into a couple of the stats really quickly. And like usual, I use StoryGraph to track my books and to create my stats. They have lovely stats on there. I would highly encourage you to use them. So as of the end of September, I had read 67 books in total this year, which is lower than normal for me. I've been saying this throughout the year as well, that I am reading less this year. And I think I've been on a trajectory of reading less the past 2 years, like year over year, reading a little bit less. And I think this might be the first year in a very long time that I do not read 100 books in the year. And this is also true of my pages read. So it's not just that I'm like reading longer books or anything like that, and that's why there's less. It's truly that I'm just reading less pages, because at this point in time, I've read just about 17,000 pages. And for example, last year in 2023, at the end of the year, I think I'd read over 25,000. So the odds of me reading like 8,000 pages in the last few months is not realistic for me. I probably will not read that much. So I'm not going to match the same amount of reading that I have done in previous years. I don't really know why that is necessarily. I have a couple theories, and maybe I will talk about those theories in my very end of the year goals wrap up, but still mulling some stuff over for now. But I'm overall very happy with my reading. That's still a lot of time spent reading, which is what I love doing. And I'm really happy with all of the books that I read. And that is reflected, I think, in my overall star ratings. Now, I share this every time as well. I don't always give my star rating in the videos, mostly only when I give something 5 stars, I'm telling you it's 5 stars, but I do track them all for my own data. And this year I have the highest star rating that I have ever had in my reading, and right now it's at a 3.96, which is crazy. I mean, rounded, that's a 4 star. As my average rating, that's a 4 star. And I think that's due to a couple things. One, I DNF. I know I talk about this a lot too. I DNF quite frequently. So giving books lower ratings, like I don't think I've ever given a book 1 star, because I'm just going to DNF it before I finish it if I'm not liking it that much. I only have a couple of 2 stars, and that tends to be honestly for short story collections, because I give those more of a chance than other works, because I think, you know, maybe I don't like one of the stories, but I could like the others. So it's rare that I'm giving something a low rating. So that's very exciting that I've enjoyed the quality of the books that I've been reading a lot more. And part of that is also due to me knowing my reading tastes better. And I'm reading, oh, my husband's coming home. Hi, babe.
Hey, babe.
How you doing? You're barefoot. Oh, and I think also this year I have definitely read more authors that I've read from before than new to me authors, and that has helped, I think, a little bit as well. But again, we'll get into some more theories at the end of the year on why I've had such a successful year in terms of star rating and how much I've been liking the books that I've finished, and see what you all think about that. Last things in terms of stats that I think different from this 3rd quarter wrap up to the previous 2 quarters is that I have finally started reading multiple authors from the same year, if that makes sense. So every year I always have a cluster of authors that I read multiple books from in that year, and I really enjoy doing that, like reading multiple works from one author in a short amount of time, because I think it adds to the experience of understanding who they are as a writer a little bit better, and the themes that they like to focus on, and whether or not they're going to be an author for me. It gives me a better understanding if I read them closer together. And I had not read any authors multiple times in this one year coming into this third quarter. But in this third quarter, I have now read 6 authors multiple times in 2024. I've read 2 books from Eva Balthazar, Permafrost and Mammoth, her latest release. I've read the 2 Becky Chambers books that I talked about earlier in the Wayfarers Quartet. I've read 2 Maggie O'Farrell books, Hamnet and The Marriage Portrait, to varying degrees of success. I was disappointed in Hamnet. I loved The Marriage Portrait. I've read the next 2 in the Spy Family series by Tetsuya Endo. I think volumes 11 and 12. I read the 2 books by Rebecca Yarros in, what is the series called? I finally looked it up again. Empyrean series, Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. And I read 2 Megan Miranda books this year as well. My 2 favorites of hers, actually, which is All the Missing Girls, my second favorite that I just recently read, and The Last Survivors, The Only Survivors, which is my favorite from her by far. So that's exciting that I finally have multiple books by the same author read within this year, because I do really enjoy reading that way, and I hope to have a little bit more of that to come throughout the rest of the year as well. So that's where we're gonna leave it in terms of the stats. Please let me know if you have any interesting stats about your reading this year. I would love to see them. I love hearing about people's reading stats, and we will see each other all in the next wrap up at the end of the year. So I'll see you then. Bye.